Hey, everybody. Welcome to the New to Coaching group tonight. I see that you are out there. I see some comments coming in. So make sure that you introduce yourself in the comments. Say hi. Tell us your coaching role. And we're going to get started here because tonight we're talking about finishing strong. It is April 2026, and it is close to the end of April. As quickly as it is approaching, we are approaching the end of the school year, friends, and we're really coming to a close. I know that we are done before Memorial Day. Many people are. And so it's a matter of weeks at this point, and it is time to figure out how we're going to wrap up this year of coaching strong. So I'm so glad you're here. I see you hopping on. I definitely want to see you in the comments, so say hi. I'm Allison Peterson, and I am the founder of the New to Coaching community, which is a Facebook group that I started over 6 years ago, actually, to just connect with coaches, and specifically with new coaches who are just getting hired, transitioning into the coaching role. Because what I found is that I had been about 5 years into coaching at that point, and no one had helped me through this journey. And so I turned around and started sharing some of the things that I had done when I started. And I also knew how vital a community would be for new coaches to find each other, ask each other questions, and support each other along the way. So that's what I've done, is build our New to Coaching community. And I'm so glad that you're a part of it. If you are a newer member, definitely say hi. What I want to know out there is which year is it for you for coaching? Is it the end of your first year? I have a lot of those members in the group, end of first year, end of second year. Tell me where you are with that. Or if you have just gotten hired and you're not even starting into the fall, though I did meet somebody in the group just last week who said she started this Monday. She was like, oh, I start on Monday. And I was like, you're starting in April? And she said that she was waiting for her job to get filled so that she could step into the role that she got hired for. But that is kind of a weird time to start. But I've seen people start all over the school year, actually. So tell me where you are in your journey as a coach. Which year are you on? And if you are a hashtag new hire, drop that in so that we can meet you. All right, I see your comments coming in. And so we have in year 2, year 4, end of the first year, which is very common. Ending my first year, middle grades instructional coach. Love that. Definitely let me know what you're coaching. That was very helpful. Hey there. That's so awesome to see everybody. Year 5. Year 5, let's see. And then, Sarah Cooper starting in the fall. Hi, Sarah. It's great to see you on here. I'm so glad you are here. All right. Okay. So what we're going to talk about tonight is how we're going to finish strong in the school year. And what happens this time of year is we get kind of surprised by the fact that coaching really slows down. So y'all let me know where you are kind of in the end of the school year lull. Have you gotten to testing yet? Are you finished with testing? Are you just starting? Like, where are you with testing? Because what happens is along this journey is right around testing happens, after spring break, right around testing, we kind of hit a point where we feel like we can't really impact this year anymore. Now, that doesn't mean that we couldn't ever impact it. There's definitely opportunities, but we run into this point where we're kind of like, there's not much more I can do to change this year. We've already done everything we can. We've done testing. It's in the books, and teachers are just trying to wrap things up. There feels like an invisible wall that you hit at the end of this point in the school year. And so we've got, testing starting next week, starting May 1st, 3 weeks until testing. Okay, y'all still got a little bit of time. This is good. We've got time to prep for that invisible wall that we might run into. Okay, map testing next week. We are also map testing next week. So I have I did not say this before, but I have been out of the classroom now as an instructional coach for 12 years. And this year, actually, I had the opportunity to kind of step up a level and take on a team of instructional coaches, which has been amazing because I've been doing this role by myself for the last 11. So that has been really, really great. But having a team to execute something like MAP testing has been such a blessing. But we've run into the same thing, even as a team, even with not just me. It is very common this time of year that it's hard to impact this year anymore. And we have to start looking to next year. And so you have this feeling as things start to shift, conversations start to change, admin starts to talk to you about things that you're in April, but you're actually in next year already. And it's the weirdest feeling. And it also feels like, okay, well, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Since it's the end of the year and teachers are wrapping things up, and it already feels like we're working on next year, and this year hasn't even ended yet. One thing you need to be thinking about is how different this feels than when you were a teacher, okay? Especially if you are, first year coach just out of the classroom for the first year. The flow of you as a teacher is so different from coaching. And it's one of the things I want us to talk about tonight, because I want you to start shifting your perspective around the end of a school year. When you are a teacher, and we talk a lot about transitioning from classroom to coaching here in the group. So we really try and help you make that mental shift from like what it was like to be a teacher to now what it's like to work as a coach, because it's very different in terms of how you function. But when you were a classroom teacher, you were worried about getting this group of kids to the end of the school year and getting everything you could out of them, just like squeezing every last juice right out of them, because you knew that they had to test and you really wanted them to show their learning and you really wanted to achieve with this group, because in a few weeks, they leave you and you have no more opportunity to impact them, because now they go on to the next teacher and they're not yours anymore. And so you feel this need to like finish and like get it all out of them. But when you're coaching, things shift in terms of the thinking around this, because it seems like the year is ending, but it's actually just going to take a pause. And you're going to take a nice summer break. And the students who you are responsible for, which would be your teachers, are just going to show back up in August. And they're going to be the same group again. And you're not losing them. You're not losing them, and they're going away and you can't get them back. It's just not the same as teaching. So we have to start taking on a longer like a longer term, long game view of the work we're doing as coaches, and realizing that it's actually not just 1 year's worth of momentum that we're trying to earn, because that's what we work on with students. When we're trying to get to what we're trying to do to make a bigger impact in coaching, we are trying to think about multiple years of growth towards impact, towards change. And that is a shift. So I want you to start thinking about that. Okay, end of the second year, coaching 6th to 8th grade middle school. We start testing tomorrow. Okay, living in 2 years at once. Jessica's definitely feeling it. So I love that. So some of the strategies that we're going to talk about tonight really are assuming that you have to kind of take off that teacher mindset and realize, okay, I need to realize that my students are coming back. My teachers are coming back. They're the same ones. So if I do things right now, I'm actually going to be able to pick up with that with them in August. And it's a crazy thought. So let me see if I can get my slides up here. Let's see if I share my screen and I pop this up. There we go. I actually called this little session Plant Now for a Fall Harvest, because I want you to think of yourself a little bit more like a gardener in your approach to how you are taking in this end of school year, springtime. This is planting season. I have recently been watching this show. It's kind of on YouTube / there is You can get it on Prime and some other shows, but it's called Growing Floret. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. If you happen to have heard of it, I would be amazed. But it's basically about this woman who has started her own flower farm, and she kind of started it from scratch many years ago and has grown it to be this unbelievable, beautiful flower farm. And what she shared about is that she bought a plot of land, and when they bought this plot of land, the very first year that they got it, they realized that the soil that they had in this land that they purchased was rocky and hard, and it didn't have what it needed to actually grow all of the plants that they wanted to grow. And so they worked on they threw the seed out onto the soil, and they tried to get the plants growing, and they tried, but they didn't have enough. Like, the soil just didn't have that richness that it needs. And this metaphor was like really hitting me while I was watching it, y'all. I just love a good metaphor. I was like thinking, like, that kind of sounds like the first year of coaching to me. Like, when you are trying so hard to get something to happen, and you're walking around going, this soil, it is so rocky. I can't even possibly work in this environment. Nothing is going to grow here. Nothing is going to change. This again, invisible wall keep running into. Well, they talked about how they had the soil tested and that they had to figure out how to add organic matter. Organic matter meaning life, adding life into the soil to create more of the moisture and more of the richness that they needed in the soil. But they also talked about how it took multiple years of churning organic matter into the soil for it to become the robust soil that they had now. And of course, they show you like a year over year project where they are showing you like, well, this is what it was year 1, and this is what it was year 2, and here's what it was year 3. And then finally, like, the flowers start to bloom the way that they should. And it just reminded me so much of coaching, and how at first it seems like we're hitting walls everywhere and nothing ever is working. But if you are willing to uproot some of the weeds and then get the organic matter into the soil, you honestly, truly can do the work. But it is a year over year investment to grow your little farm, your little garden that you're building with your teachers. And it was something that really hit me. And so I wanted you to think about how this is the season where you're going to be planting, because if you will plant the seeds now and you will work on the soil now, you will actually be able to create a harvest in the fall. And so we don't really think about fall. It's April. What do you mean, Allison? Like, it's April. Like, it's not September yet. I'm not getting pumpkins and leaves falling off the trees. But what's really important is that that's the kind of longevity we need to have. If we're having time with teachers right now, they're just little seeds that we're planting and hopefully putting some organic matter in our soil. And we are trying to get some life out of it. And what we don't realize is that if we water it, it's actually going to grow and show up and be something powerful in the fall. And so I want us to be thinking about this long game picture. So where have you seen this already in your coaching, that it's going to take longer than you thought? Then it's going to take year over year progress. And in my book, Kickstart Your Coaching Cycles, I don't know if you have your copy, but if you do, I talk a little bit about this at the end of the book, actually, in the Make Change Happen chapter, where I talk about how it is a 3 to 5 year process for you to start making change happen in your school. And it feels like we should be able to get there sooner. I need you to, where did your thing go? Okay, then you need to go. Sorry, got a little visitor in here. And so what we are doing is we're trying to move everybody forward in the change that we're trying to make happen. And so it's going to take multiple years. And so I want to encourage you, because I think at this time of year, it's really easy to get caught up in how it's not happening the way that you want. It's not happening the way that you want. It's this time of year, and it really feels like things are slow. Teachers are not wanting coaching. Nothing is working. You feel like you're not doing anything. And what we need to change is thinking about what you can plant now that's going to help you get things going for the fall. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I want to hear if you feel like this like long game view is an important one for you. Okay, so Marilyn says, agree, the systematic change takes at least 3 years. Fruits really do come. Trust the process. That's why I love the flower metaphor, or the planting metaphor, so that you can see that the fruit is going to happen. It really does remind me. I brought my Bible tonight because it reminds me so much of Matthew, and the parable of the sower, where Jesus talks about the parable of the farmer, where he throws out the seeds, and he says at the end of it that it's in Matthew chapter 13. Still other seeds fell on fertile soil, and they produced a crop that was 30, 60, or even 100 times as many as planted. Anyone with ears to hear should understand. So this idea of really thinking about how your soil can be livened up with that organic matter, so that you can have things moving towards change, but that it takes time. And so really believing in the process is such an important part of it. And one of the phrases we have here in the New to Coaching group is, if change is the goal, then progress is the win. And so I want you to remember that small steps of progress are so, so, so important in this journey, especially this time of year. Camille says she seconds that, so that's awesome. All right, put your comments in as I'm talking. I would absolutely love to hear what you're thinking about. Let's talk about some strategies. Tonight, I want to share with you some strategies that are going to be really, really useful for you, so that you can really come up with some practical ways to plant some seeds that are going to show up in the fall. Okay, so let's talk about strategy number 1. And I'm hoping that you're with me here as we're going into these strategies. So for strategy number 1, we just talked about that. So we're going to talk about celebrating success. So in my book, okay, I'm going to have to pause for just 1 second. Sorry, hate to do that on live. Okay, there we go. Okay, so when you have the idea of celebrating success, okay, this is actually a strategy. Sometimes we think that when we're celebrating teachers, we are just trying to make something cute and fun for them at the end of the year. Now, that's so great. Cute and fun is always awesome. But what I want to talk more about with celebrating success is the strategy behind it, okay? Why do you take this time at the end of the school year to celebrate success and what you have done so far? So celebrating success is something I talk about in the book as well. It is in chapter 11 about celebrating teachers' progress and then celebrating your progress. And this is what I really, I just like to call edification, just helping a person through challenges and just giving them encouragement. Like, this is one of the things that is so valuable, especially at the end of the year. If you can lift up and build each other up, Lord. I mean, for the work that they're doing. Building a teacher up also strengthens the relationship that you've cultivated. So what you're doing is you're stepping back into relationship with them. One part of the strategy is relationship and connection at the end of the year, so that they know that they were seen by you. But the more important thing is that you've been trying to make change happen all year. Whatever that change was, even if it was a small change. And what you're trying to celebrate is what that looks like. If somebody did one thing that is to be celebrated, their students grew, they tried a new strategy in their classroom, they implemented the curriculum, the way that they were hoping to, whatever it is that is this to be celebrated, that's what you have to celebrate, because what is celebrated is repeated. Okay, I'm going to say it again. What is celebrated is repeated. So you're not an evaluator. You're not telling them whether or not, they did everything right or wrong. But when you are celebrating their wins and telling them the things that they're doing and encouraging them in those things are things they're going to want to do more of. So you want to focus on celebrating the highlights of the school year so that they will happen again next year. So that we'll remember how great it was when we did these things. And for you to really show outcome. Teachers are the worst about self-negativity. Like, I don't know if not all of them, but some of them really carry it heavily, and they really struggle to see their own strengths and wins. They need somebody else to point them out for them. I don't know if you see this, so definitely tell me in the comments if you've run into this with a teacher or two who just really struggles to see how good she is at the work and the progress she's making with students. But then all of a sudden you show her and she's like, oh, well, I guess it's better than I thought. Like, yeah, it's better than you thought. Have you looked at your data? Have you seen this child start writing and there's everything transformed for them? There's so many amazing things that are happening and they can't see it because they're so hard on themselves. So how can you lift up the teachers? So there's a lot of ways. I want you to tell me in the comments ways that you are thinking about celebrating teachers or have celebrated them in the past. There's a lot of ways. There's individual celebrations, which would be something as simple as a text message or a card or a note and a treat on their desk. Like, what's an individual way you can celebrate one teacher and the work that she's doing? And then there is more like a team. So if you're working with PLCs or grade level teams or department teams or something like that, how can you celebrate the whole team in a meeting and let them celebrate each other and share out ways that they've seen each other do a great work this year? So that's one way to celebrate, is like in a small group situation or in the whole group situation, which would be your whole faculty type of meeting. How can you create celebration there? And that can also not just look like one or two teachers being singled out, but it can look like a sharing. And it can look like a reflection activity where they write down one thing that they thought went well this year, just one, because sometimes it's hard to pick, right? One thing that you think went well this year for your students, and then let them do a turn and talk and talk to each other about something that went well. And then that is a celebration activity. It doesn't make it feel like we're just singling one teacher out. And then hopefully they would be willing to share. So thinking about the different ways that you can do celebrations individually, small group, or in whole faculty meetings are going to be vital, because celebrate systematically is a part of vision casting. You help create a vision for the future, where you guys are going, what is this change that we're trying to make? And then you help kind of like show people what it looks like when they do it. And that's how we celebrate. And then also what you celebrate is repeated. So if you want more of that next year, get that celebration going, friend. Okay, so that's how we're going to have a harvest next year for that one. Is we're going to plant some celebrations and we're going to harvest that same change, keep happening next year. So that's one of them. So tell me your thoughts on celebrations. I'm not seeing as many comments come in because I know that we are on Facebook and YouTube tonight. So maybe those environments are a little different, but I would really love to see your comments. So drop those in. Let's see this one. I thought my admin and I were on the same page, but the teachers feel we are not. So my first goal is to make a better plan for him to be more productivity next year. Okay, absolutely. We're actually going to talk about admin connections towards the end. So that will be a good one for us to bring up then. So celebrations is step one. Let's talk about the next one, which is reflection meetings. Reflection meetings. Okay, this is one of my absolute favorite strategies. Okay, I did see Shauna put in her comments, so I'm going to go back to that for a second. Create personalized certificates for the growth of all my teachers and TAs and distribute them at the last PLC meeting. I highlight one aspect of their growth. That is awesome. That's a lot of work and you're amazing. Love to point out growth with teachers. Great reminders for us to celebrate wins. We are getting tired, and the reminder is great. They are getting tired. They're losing sight of what they've done this year because it's, everyone's just looking at the end of the tunnel, but they can do some reflective work and they will start to see the impact that they've made. So I love that. Absolutely. So, okay. Reflection meetings is one of my favorite strategies at the end of the year. It is incredibly, incredibly intentional. Okay. So it's kind of that thing where teachers don't want any coaching right now. They don't really want to change anything. They don't want to change anything. It's too late in the year to make a lot of changes. Now, you do have a couple of runners who are going to get creative at the end of the year. So you definitely want to keep an eye out for those who are like adding some creative flair. But your reflection meetings as a strategy is to get as many one-on-one conversations as you can round out the year. Okay, to round out the year. And you can do some of this in group, like grade level team or PLC. So you could look for the opportunity there. But your one-on-ones is what we're going for here, okay? And here's why. Again, strategy and intentional. One thing you're trying to do in the fall, what are we going to do? When we get through the crazy of the first couple of weeks of school, the next thing we're going to do is start coaching cycles. Coaching cycles, okay? The reason that you want to start coaching cycles is because you've done a bunch of, we'll talk about how to get like more prepped for the beginning of the year, but you've done a lot of group work when school starts. You want to start transitioning that to one-on-one coaching work. That is a coaching cycle. There's a lot of different ways to execute a coaching cycle, but what is a coaching cycle? It is one-on-one work with a teacher, partnership in helping her move forward towards a goal. So what you want to start doing is planting the seeds of relationships for one-on-one coaching now so that you can start creating little seeds that are going to sprout into a harvest of coaching cycles in the fall. So I really like one-on-ones for these. If you want to create like a little sign-up sheet and get them to sign up for like a 15 or 20 minute chat. I just don't want you to be discouraged if they don't sign up for that. So you can also let them know that you're going to come and pop by and here's the schedule at when you're going to come and see them during their planning. You can do this conversation in about 20 minutes. And so you don't have to take their whole planning. So you could try to win a couple of conversations in one like time block. But you want to try and get one-on-one conversations. And these conversations are very clearly reflection meetings. You are going to have that moment of connection at the beginning where you just connect as, catch up. And then you're going to be like, I just want to hear, again, going back to celebrating. What are some of the best things what are some of the highlights of your year? What went really well? And then instead of asking what did not go well, you're not really going to ask the question, what didn't go well? Because sometimes that's not really as useful to reflect on. It can be, so you can see if there's a specific teacher that needs that question. But what I want you to ask instead is what do you want to do differently next year? So you're going to ask what went well, so that you can really focus in on the positives, because again, what is celebrated is repeated. So we want to hone in on what was working, because we actually just want to duplicate what was working. So knowing what was working for them is really helpful. But then you want to ask not what didn't go well, but just start future thinking with them to next year. What do you want to do differently next year? And that question can be even more specific. So you can ask, like, let's say they're talking about, writing is a good example. So let's say they were talking about writing and how they felt like writing went well, but they start saying some things didn't go well. And you say, okay, well, that sounds like it makes sense. So tell me, what do you want to do differently next year about writing or in math or whatever you want to focus on? You can target the question, and hopefully they'll say something like, well, I really tried to do that rubrics thing this year, but I didn't really get to that. And so I guess one of the things I want to do differently or better next year is I want to try and use the rubrics. I know you've been trying to teach us the rubrics all year and haven't really used those. So I really want to try out those rubrics, I guess, It might give you a little bit of an answer. But what this is what I call in my book, I call them golden tickets because they're called exit tickets in the book. But basically what they are is they're a way for you to follow up with them on a real thing that they said they wanted to do. So you can always use these exit tickets at the end of a PD or end of a PLC. But if you go into these reflection meetings looking for kind of like the exit ticket, what do I want to do differently? You're going to grab it now in April and you're going to plant it in the ground, because she's hardly even going to remember that she said all of that, but you're going to take notes. And you're going to remember what she said she wants to do differently. And then you're going to harvest that particular plant in the fall when it's time to start one-on-one coaching cycles. And you're going to go and see her, and you're not going to, it will feel like, oh, this was a conversation from 4 months ago. But she and you have a connection. It hasn't been that long. You'll be able to say, I loved when we met last April. That was so great. I really enjoyed our end of year meeting. And I just wanted to, swing back around because I was looking back at my notes and I saw that you said that you wanted to work on rubrics. And I remembered that. And I was like, gosh, it's so great that you want to do that. Do you think you want to maybe meet next week? And we could start writing your rubric. What's your next unit on? Maybe we could start working on that rubric now. And you just got your foot in the door, because she'll say, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm going to start narrative next week. And I'm not really feeling great about it. Maybe let's talk about it, because I don't really know how to work on that rubric. Let's just say she'll admit it. But the thing is that you're trying to get that answer to that question. And the question again is, what do you want to do differently next year? Now, this question is really, really powerful. So at this point, I want you to make sure you've written it down, and I want you to start asking it in every conversation. So if you can do these little one-on-one meetings to get some reflection time individually, amazing. If you only get PLCs, start asking this question. Just ask them to write the answer down on a note card that is with their name on it. Okay. So you're still going to get an individual answer, even though you asked it in a group. That's how it's an exit ticket, because you want to be able to follow up with people on whatever they wrote on the card. If they said they want to do something differently next year, they've just opened the door for coaching. And one-on-one coaching is where that happens, because it's going to be something very specific to them, very specific to what they're trying to achieve, and you get to follow up. So that strategy is one of my favorites. It's the best way to kind of plant now and harvest next year, and really start collecting those ways that you're going to follow up with them. If you have a copy of Kickstart Your Coaching Cycles too, there's a little script in here about how you can go in and talk to a teacher about a follow-up. Call it the follow-up conversation, and how you can kind of book a meeting with them in a really casual way. So it says teacher, coach. So I give you a little script of how to do that, because my little approach is called the organic approach. And the whole idea is that it feels really natural and organic for you to start a coaching cycle with a teacher, because you're following up in a really natural way. And when you have a question like this on hand, and you have a sticky note or a note card with the answer to their question, it doesn't feel weird for you to show up and be like, hey, I was just wondering if you still want to work on that thing you said you wanted to do. That feels organic, rather than being here's my list. Who wants to sign up for a coaching cycle? And nobody will do it. And so you want to find ways that you can start engaging with them on what they want to do. So I would say that that is one of my favorite strategies. So let me know your thoughts on that strategy. I don't know if I put this one up. Leave shout out notes. Those are so great. Perfect. Okay, so then number 3. All right. Get ahead of the overwhelm now. Okay, so this one, especially if you're end of year, first year coach. Okay, and I know we had several of you in here. So, end of year, first year coach. You are the one I'm talking to here. Okay. Definitely make sure you note yourself in the comments so I know who I'm talking to. But I got on a call with one of the new to coaching members the other day, and I was chatting with her, and she was saying, Allison, I just need you to help me. I still feel like I'm in this far into the school year, and I still feel like I am behind, and that I'm playing from behind, and that I'm still kind of like not sure what's happening next. And I can't seem to catch up, is what she was saying. And I just felt so much empathy for her because I'm 12 years in, and I'm not saying that I've overcome this, because school is like, I keep using this phrase, it's like jumping on a moving train. And so we got us a spring break, and it was Monday, and it was like jumping on a moving train. It's just so hard to keep up with the pace, honestly. And I know you're feeling that, and I know your teachers are feeling that. But the idea of the overwhelm is when the school year starts and it becomes crazy, you are going to get pulled in a million directions. And I wrote about this in the book. So the 3 roadblocks that new coaches face: overwhelm, lack of direction, teacher resistance. These are the 3 things you're going to face. The overwhelm comes from a couple of different things. First of all, it just comes from the busyness and craziness of school. You are having to onboard new teachers. This year, when you did it, you didn't even know what you were onboarding them on, and it was still you teaching them. So it's just so overwhelming. So onboarding new teachers, getting a PD ready for pre-planning, and then, school starts, and then testing begins, and then like the dominoes just all fall. And so the whirlwind that you step into, and you're still trying to process your new role, leads you to just being pulled in a million directions. And it leaves you kind of just putting out fires. Like, I don't know what I'm doing today, but I'm going to go see this teacher or whatever. And you realize very quickly that like trying to put out fires all day long is exhausting. And then you end up wondering if you're being productive. Are you doing anything? Am I even doing coaching? Is this even what I'm supposed to be doing? And that right there is the feeling that will lead you to feel like you are not being effective. And it's not that you're not being effective. It's that the overwhelm has got you, and you have to be able to come out of it and have some clarity. Now, it's difficult to find that clarity, but one thing you can do right now, especially if you feel like you have a little more downtime, you're trying to figure out what to do with your time since teachers don't want coaching, is start looking at the calendar for next year, reflecting on how I would go down like to the day, but I would definitely do monthly, how each month went, what tasks you really needed to do in that month, what type of things you ran into that you didn't expect, and start kind of like getting a flow of your school year and understanding what's coming. Now that you've been through it, you can do it better. If you guys who are not first year coaches could jump in on this one and share like what you do to make sure that you're really prepped and ready for the beginning of the school year. But if there are things you can be doing now for that and not just waiting till like, oh, when I get to summer, I'll work on that. You won't really want to work on it in the summer. You'll want to, but you won't really want to. So trying to think about ways you can get ahead. And one of the ways that you can get ahead that I really, really encourage is with your new hires. So if you haven't already become the first point of contact for your new hires after they're hired, beyond your HR person and your principal, you need to be that person, because you can actually start onboarding new hires now. I know it's not official. I know they don't have their email address yet, but I bet you they'll hop on a virtual call with you or stop by, and you can start talking to them, introducing things to them, onboarding them, and you become the person who is their go-to person. And so one of the things that is most overwhelming with the new school year is onboarding those new teachers. And anything you can get ahead of those things are going to be helpful for you. So thinking about ways that you can do that new teacher onboarding now, or make a plan for it before the first day of new teacher training, those things will help you. So you really have to kind of reflect back on how your year went, catch your road bumps that you ran into, and backwards design how you're not going to do that again. I'm not going to end up there. Also, what I find to be the hardest is that there's no desk time at the beginning of the school year. And so if I need to do things like set up new teachers in digital platforms, or any kind of like spreadsheet work or logistical work or data work, or anything that it kind of requires me to sit at a desk and think for a couple hours straight, that is work I want to try and be getting done now as much as possible, so that I can really focus on people in the fall. And that those types of things, like, we don't think about that, but the thing that will happen is we'll think we'll have time. Oh, I'll have time to get to that. And girl, you won't. So don't think you will. Okay. So thinking about ways that you can overcome your overwhelm now. Another thing that's really important is your role clarity conversation. So if you are feeling like you have not been sure about what you're supposed to be doing all year long, you probably need to be the one to initiate a meeting with your principal to say, I would love to do a little reflection on coaching this year and what I was able to accomplish and what kind of things I want to do next year, and bring them a plan and talk a little bit about probably some boundaries that you need to set around your role. Because you need to talk about the time and the minutes that you spent doing different things that weren't really coaching, and that you need to be able to shift some of that time back to coaching, because your priority for next year is one-on-one coaching with teachers and maybe your PLC meetings. And so trying to really talk to your principal about how this year went, get feedback from them, but also say, my goal for next year is to really make more time for coaching. Therefore, other things may need to not be the top priority. Now, that seems like a tough conversation to step into, because you're like, I can't tell my boss what I can and can't do. Depending on your boss, it's still worthy conversation to step into, because you can try to help create clarity even by just having the conversation to say, this is what I achieved. This is what I wish I would have achieved. And next year, my plan is this, and come to your principal with that. And you can also say things like, I'm already working on my PD for August, so let's make sure we know what the topic's going to be. Like, you've got to get ahead, which I think is my next point. So I'll stop rambling. Let me see some of these comments. The moment we hire a new teacher, I get their email, send them a welcome with my cell. This was amazing last year. It ensured that I had a relationship with them before they started, and they had that friend on day one. That is so awesome. And I know they appreciated that, Jessica. Thank you for sharing that. Karen. Yes, that sitting down with admin is really, really valuable. And we think that admin's going to initiate that. She's not. She's way too busy. So you may need to find the right time, make sure you're not like showing up and she's like got fires everywhere. But really try to think deeply about how you want to do the start of next year better, and then go tell your boss about how you've been doing great. This is your first year. Here's the things you learned, and here's your plan for next year. And go ahead and lay that out, because that is what she wants to see. Sometimes we think that's us imposing on our boss. No. Your boss wants to see initiative. She wants you to take things by the reins and show that you have a plan. She doesn't have time to make a plan for you. You need to be the one doing that. So just thinking about how you can do that, and being really meaningful about that will be good. Okay, so the last one leads us right into it, is those end of the year admin conversations. So y'all are still out there. So tell me what end of the year admin conversations you are planning to have. What are you kind of waiting to meet with your team about? What are you guys talking about right now? These are things that you need to be very involved in right now. I know this is probably where you have recently shifted your time. So usually around spring break and hiring season, things start to shift in the admin world towards next year. So you've probably already been on this, but I want you to think about what answers to what questions you need from admin so you can do this kind of like planning we're talking about. We're talking about you looking at each month for next year, going ahead and thinking about how you're going to be spending your time in each of those months. And you may need answers to questions like, will we be doing the grade level team meetings to go over map data again next year? I want to go ahead and get those on my calendar. Like, there's absolutely no reason why you can't just start putting those on your calendar. Like, you're not going to share them with teachers yet because that'll freak them out. But you can be like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and build my schedule for when I'm going to go meet with all teachers about their map testing. And you can think about that. This is going to be, these 2 weeks in September or whatever. And you can get that in your head. So start really thinking about that level of detail of thinking ahead and seeing if that can help you. I go back over my goals for the year and think about my goals for next year. I love that. And I'm hoping that you have a good, healthy conversation with your admin about that. One admin conversation we are walking into right now, me and my team, is talking to our admin about some map data that we have looked at, kind of longitudinal data, year over year data, to see how our students are doing with student learning in math. And that has been a really powerful thing to bring up some of that data. And we want to bring it to the administrative team and really talk through what we're seeing. What does that mean? What is the impact of that? And then we have a little bit of a proposal of like, here's the curriculum we could look at. Here's some professional development we could look at. And so we're walking into conversations that are very much about like, this is what we're seeing in our student learning. This is the change and things that we want to go ahead and do for next year. And here's what it would look like that we as coaches would execute. And so thinking about those types of conversations that you can be having with your admin right now, those are another way for you to kind of plant now and harvest later. So, okay, good. Other things that you're doing here at the end of the year when you're talking to admin, let me know what other things you are doing or talking to them about. Let me think about any of those other pieces. Okay. We celebrate wins. Let's go back over the few things that we just talked about. See if anything else triggers for you to remember to do. All right. Love to see your comments coming in. So come on in. All right. So for these ones that we went over. So we did, how do you make change happen? It's a year-over-year process. It is not a short process, and you have to be really thinking about what you're planting now that is going to be for next year, and then realizing that progress is the win. Whatever small things that you have achieved this year, just like we're celebrating those for our teachers, we have to see those ourselves, and we have to see that we are making small change happen, even if it feels like we have a lot of rocky soil and it's not taking on the the plants the way we want. So how do we make change happen? And then we have the 3 strategies, or maybe 4. Celebrate success. So we talked about how we're going to celebrate success. We're going to do it incredibly intentionally, and it's going to be cute, but it's also going to be a reminder that what is celebrated is repeated. And so we want to definitely be celebrating our teachers. We talked about reflection meetings and how you need to have one-on-one reflection meetings with teachers if you can. Trying to do them short and sweet. Do not be afraid to do it in the copy room while they're standing there making copies, because that is just as valid as if they sat down with you in a meeting. And so looking for times to stop by and see them or catch them in kind of more organic places like lunch, and ask them this question that we talked about, which is, what do you want to do differently next year? That's the important question that we're really trying to ask so that we can garner some really specific things that they want to try next year. And then we can follow up with them and create coaching cycles off of those, like in August. Strategy number 3 was get ahead of the overwhelm now. Make sure that you are not losing sight of everything that you learned in this school year and go back and reflect on it. Also know that overwhelm comes from lack of clarity in your role. And so if you need to have a clarity conversation with your principal, or you need to have a next year, I would like to do better conversation with your principal, that can be really helpful for you. And then the last one is your admin conversations. You have a lot of opportunity to lead up and to influence in this environment when you're invited to the table with admin. And so really bring your voice in a way that's very collaborative and contributing. Ask good questions, but really think about how you can help to shape next year. And you get to be a part of that now that you're looking at next year going, okay, I've been through this year. I know a little bit more what we're doing. And you can start speaking into some of the things that you can change. So those are some of the things we talked through. I think when talking about hopes for next year, I have found that having a third-party document or data during those kinds of conversations with my admin has been very helpful. Yes, absolutely. Definitely data, because when we're talking, because it does help to kind of just like, let's just look at this holistically. Let's not try and pinpoint one single student or teacher. Let's just look at what we're seeing in trends of the data. What does the data show us in terms of trends? So that's what we've been working on a little bit this year. Jessica, you're awesome. My admin was new this year. The one thing I wanted to get ahead of before summer is a plan for PD, so we can start thinking about that trajectory. Yes. If you, yes, this is very important, especially if you're doing a PD that you know is going to continue topically throughout the year. You have a lot more time to really think about how you want to develop that and design it if you know. So I will say sometimes it's hard for admin to get to that level of detail with you until it's a little closer to the end of the year or right into the beginning of summer. And so don't get frustrated if you're not winning the conversation that you want to get this answer that you want. But I would also say you have to have that conversation as soon as you can. I like to go ahead and schedule mine like the first full week of summer, and we'll that's when I feel like I can get some fresh brains on a topic to really think about the PD for next year. But that is a fabulous conversation to be having. Okay, so I want to share with you guys a little bit about some things that I'm doing this summer that you can be a part of if you want. So if you want to hang around a little bit longer, I don't want to keep you for too long, but I would love to talk to you a little bit more about this. So let me see this one. Okay, so at the beginning, we talked about becoming a make change, learning how to make change happen. And I have kind of put words to this idea of becoming a make change happen coach. And this is something that actually come out of Daniel Goleman's work, where you realize that you need more than just knowledge you need more than just knowledge. You actually need emotional intelligence, leadership skills, coaching skills, and I believe spiritual development. One of the things that I have found in my work as a coach is that I have to bring my faith into this work so that I can really truly believe in the long-term work that we're talking about. And so this idea of instructional expertise is often not enough. But what you can develop is all of these different skills that you need that are really not the skills that you think you need. Like when you start coaching, you think that you need to know the standards or to know the curriculum or even to know more instructional models. Like you think you need all of those things, but the things that you actually need are these kind of soft skills, as they say, the kind of more invisible ones that are going to help you move change forward. And it's so important, especially like we've been talking about this time of year. So this right here is what I have really spent a lot of time really over the last 6 years as I've had the New to Coaching group, like developing content around all of these things. And it's a lot of it is in Kickstart Your Coaching Cycles. And I'm working on my next book, which will incorporate some of those same things. But one of the things that I've done is I've put together a year-long coaching program for new coaches really end of first year or end of second year coaches, or totally fresh new hires haven't started yet, are who this program is intended for. And so what it's going to do is it's going to actually be kind of a real-time coaching model where you are going to go through the realities of school. You're going to experience what you experienced this time of school year, and then we will be working on the thing you need most at that time. So it's very real-time training and real-time coaching and support. And so in the fall, in the summer is where we start. So we start with the work that we're talking about tonight, but we develop out like a full-on year-long plan that you will use to talk to your principal about where you're going for the year, and your 30, 60, 90-day plan. So we just do everything we can to help you get so much clarity around your role and be able to step into it way more confidently as the school year starts. So that's designing your coaching program work. We do that in the summer. And then in the fall, as soon as we get past the first few weeks of school, it's time to start coaching cycles. And then we lean into the Kickstart Your Coaching Cycle material that I shared a little bit with you tonight. One of those soft skills that's so important is self-awareness. It is vital to you as a new coach. And so we spend time over the lull of like Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's, really focusing on some deep self-awareness. It's also the time of year where you start reflecting on whether or not you really want to keep this job because you're not sure if you like it anymore. And it is actually such a powerful work to reflect at that time and to grow as a coach. And then in the spring, we ramp up for this new year planning, and that's called Lead from the Middle. And it's really a focus on leadership and change management. And so I have this year-long program, and what I do in it is I provide you one-on-one coaching and group sessions and an online courses. So it's called the Make Change Happen Academy. You get online courses for all of the things that I just showed you, one-on-one coaching with me, and community and connection with kind of like the group of ladies who are in the cohort. And so if you are really looking for like a deeper level of mentorship through your coaching experience, especially if you're at the end of your first year and you're really feeling like you want some more direction, or if you're just starting out as a new coach, there is so much to be thinking about. And I can help you think about how to get ahead of those things. And so that's the work we do in the Make Change Happen Academy. I have a couple of friends who have been on here many a time who share their experience working with me. But SEL Michelle says, when you're a Lone Ranger at your school, you've got to have a team here. We ask each other questions and run ideas by each other. I have been way more successful as a coach by joining this group than I would have been by starting on my own, and working with Allison has been a huge support for me. My friend Casey Watts, who's actually stepped out of coaching and into consulting now, said that being a part of the Make Change Happen Academy has entirely transformed the way I think about my role as a coach. I moved to a new district that didn't have instructional coaches before, but I was able to find people here in this group, and this group truly changed my life, not just professionally, but personally as well. And so I've had hundreds of women go through the community and through the year-long training. And what we've found is that it truly is transformational. And so I want you to be kind of aware that this is out here. I'm opening enrollment for the Academy to start June 1st. So right now, just kind of opening the doors, letting you know about it, letting you get started. If you want to learn more, you can drop me a learn more in the comments. Or you can go to newtocoaching.info/academy, and there's a button for you to fill out a Google form. That's just an interest form. You're not committing to anything, obviously, but you're just letting me know that you want to hop on a call with me, hear a little bit more about it, or you want your school to get an invoice or a quote so that you can consider it. This is a year-long program, and it's priced at the way that your school really should be the ones paying for it. So I wanted to encourage you to ask your school to see if they'll invest in you for professional development for the year. I love the year-long model because it means that you're not getting just like 6 or 8 weeks of intensive training, and you have to be on videos and you have to be on these calls and you're worried about that. That's not the model that I use in my program. What I am more focused on is supporting you through the real day-to-day work that you are doing. And so the videos are all kind of self-paced. There will be some live calls that you can join, but replays are always available. So there's opportunities for you to join community, but if you are busy or whatever, there's no pressure. This is not it's not like a college level course, but you are going to become a certified Make Change Happen coach, which is very cool, so that you can go through the entire program and kind of get that as professional development hours for yourself. So if you are interested in thinking about joining me for the next school year, we start on June 1st, diving in to making a plan for you as a coach, kind of resetting a lot of your perspective of coaching, helping you make sure that you have all of your role clarity clear, your beliefs, and then we start making your plan for the new year and your coaching program document. So we build all of that in the summer. We help you kind of get on there with your admin, make a plan with them, especially if you're a new coach and you have not coached before. It's going to be so beneficial for you. And then as soon as August rolls around, we start helping you plan PD. So whatever the real time thing is that you're doing as a coach, that's what we're working on in the Make Change Happen Academy. So I would love to have you join. I would really love for you to consider it and have your school pay for it and invest in you so that you can really have that kind of ongoing support at all times. I usually meet with my members like 2 times a month, one-on-one. Talk to them about anything that's on their mind, coach them through that, and then just stay in touch over the month. So if you're looking for that level of mentorship, I truly believe that it's not available anywhere else, not this level of one-on-one touch point and this level of community with other instructional coaches. And so I would love to invite you to come and be a part of that. So again, it's newtocoaching.info/academy, or just go to newtocoaching.info and there's a button at the top. There is a Google form link that you can click interested to find out more. Fill out that for me, and then I'll follow up with you. And I can hop on a call with you, answer more questions. I can talk to you about whether or not it's a fit for you. I do have an out-of-pocket option if your school won't pay or there isn't professional development or whatever it might be that's stopping you from being able to be a part of it, but you really want to. So I would love to talk to you about that. There's an option for you to mark that, and I'll get in touch with you if you want to know more about an out-of-pocket option. But this is intended to be professional development that your school pays for you. So as we wrap up here tonight, I need you to answer my question. What is most useful to you? So go ahead and answer that one for me. What was most useful to you? Answer that. We'll wrap up and we will sign off. I will stay on for another minute or two. I definitely want to hear your answers. So write in what was most useful for you tonight. And then if you have questions or something else I didn't address tonight that you're like, hey, I'd really love to get an answer on this one, I would absolutely love to answer it for you. I know that there's still a few of you out there listening in. If you have caught this on replay, you can still comment, especially really on both platforms, YouTube and Facebook. I'll be able to see those comments and reply to you. And so I'm more than happy to answer those questions for you. Also, I love hearing from my New to Coaching members. So you can always send me a DM and ask me a question. I get those a lot. I get random ones that I'm like, all right, yeah, let's tackle this together. So I love connecting with you in my DMs. So feel free to shoot me one of those. Oh, got some answers here. What's most useful to you? Sarah Cooper. Intentionality about celebrating success for the year. Yes, absolutely. That is a great one. And what is celebrated is repeated. I can't take credit for that one. This is Andy Stanley. He is a pastor in Atlanta and he wrote several books, but the one that he wrote is about making vision stick. It's a small little book and it's all about how you make vision stick. He talks about celebrate systematically, and what is celebrated is repeated. So I definitely stole that one, but I love it. Reflection with the teacher. What do you want to do differently? Save and revisit that at the start of the year. Create your coaching cycle around this information. Yes, Shonda, you got it, girl. Make sure you write it down. Um, it is such a truth, like, of this idea of, like, the metaphor of planting, like, just, like, take this little secret that they gave you and, like, plant it in the ground and then, like, watch it turn into a coaching cycle in the fall. So exciting. It really is. Okay, what do you want to do differently next year? That question is a golden ticket question. Take it with you, friends. It will help you out. The end of year, what would you like to do differently? Being a ticket into a coaching conversation for next year. Absolutely. And it's really just about you making that connective touch point with them now. And then like having the care and concern to remember what they said. Like that's kind of a crazy moment when like you walk up to them and you're like, yeah, I remember that you said you wanted to work on rubrics. Do you want to start tomorrow? But they feel seen when you do that. They feel like someone heard them. Someone was listening to them. And your runners are going to jump on that right away, but you might really be surprised how this would help you break through with a more resistant teacher. So do not be afraid to have these reflection meetings with somebody that you consider to be a resistant teacher. Let me tell you the best way to break down walls to resistant teachers. Keep talking to them. That's it. That's the secret. Keep talking to them. Stop acting like they're scary and go talk to them again. You are still trying to build a relationship with them. They don't trust you yet, and you will earn trust, but you haven't earned it yet. So you have to keep talking to them. And if you ask them, what do you want to do differently? And they answer the question, and then in a couple of months, you remember what they said, they're going to be like, she remembered what I said. Okay, girl, I see you, right? So they will start to come around. But the last thing you need to do, somebody told me this today. They were like, I get very scared of my resistant teachers and I just avoid them. And I was like, okay, it's true. It's very easy to be scared of them and avoid them. Try not to do it though, because you could end up with, as Jessica said, a golden ticket. Okay. And you might actually get an in with that teacher in the fall if you're not too scared to start this conversation with them. So fabulous, friends. I am so grateful that you would give me an hour and about 10 minutes of your time tonight. I loved hanging out with you. It was great to see you in the comments. Thank you for taking the time to do that. I want you to know I'm out here. I'm available. I'm hanging out. If you DM me, it's me on the other side of the phone. I'm in the middle of this with you. I'm like doing my presentation to my admin tomorrow. Like we are in it together. Okay. So if you need anything, reach out. And if you're interested in joining the community, check out this link and go and fill out the form. And let's connect. And I would love to tell you more about it as the opportunity arises. Drop me a learn more in the comments if you're watching on replay and you didn't get a chance to see everything. And I will be in touch with you. Okay. And so thank you so much for coming tonight. Loved having you. And don't forget to finish strong and plant your seeds for next year. I can't wait to hear how it goes. Bye, friends.